Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and then I watched Lilo and Stitch. So first in this live stream, I'm gonna be going over my review and my thoughts and stuff on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and then I'll do another stream after this for Lilo and Stitch. I will be spoiling the Mission Impossible movie, so if you haven't seen it or you don't want to be spoiled, I would go watch it and then come back. Um, so for me, I've always really liked all the Mission Impossible movies for the most part. Um, Even the last one, Dead Reckoning, was pretty good. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it is still decent. Now with this one, The Final Reckoning, I think is probably one of the probably to me it's probably the worst or second worst. Um, it was just it's like 3 hours long, and probably 2 hours of it is just dialogue that's not even needed. So like basically the whole first half of the movie is so slow and boring that I almost wanted to leave the theater. And I rarely feel that way. So I feel like if they would have just like cut it in half, the second half is pretty good and well paced, and but the whole first half basically is unneeded. I feel like, um, but and then the second half picks up and it's pretty good. But even the second half, with it being like the final reckoning, and I expected some amazing stunts, and honestly, the stunts in this movie, we only really get two like major stunts. So the plane one, where they're like fighting with the planes and everything, and then the part where he goes down to the submarine and he's going through all that. And even with the part of where he was going down into the submarine and stuff, I felt like that was way too long of a sequence, um, for very little payoff, I guess. And then the plane stunts were kind of cool, but I felt like that was more of like a mid movie stunt rather than like the final stunt of the movie. I really like the stunts in Dead Reckoning better, with like the train hanging down and everything was really cool. So I felt like this movie all around was just very disappointing, because I was really excited for it because I like all the Mission Impossible movies. And this one just, it really let me down because it was really slow for the first part. The story itself just was not really that interesting. And the main thing that they're known for, the stunts, they really weren't that impressive either. Um, so, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't very happy with it, um, which is sad because I was really going into it with high hopes as well. And it let me down. Even like the bond between the teammates or the crew really didn't feel like it was there really at any point during the movie really. Um, a little at some points, but not very much like some of the other movies in the franchise. Yeah, so I don't know. I sort of hope they're done with Mission Impossible movies. Even though I like the movies, I feel like they've hit that point to where if they make any more, it's just going to drop off a cliff to where they're horrible movies. And this one really wasn't that good, so I really don't want them to make any more. Um, yeah, so that's mainly my thoughts on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Um, I I think my favorite part, there was a few cool like fight sequences, but there was maybe, I'm trying to think, maybe two or three fight sequences that were pretty short. There was one that was a little bit longer, but even with that, like even if you're not gonna do big stunts throughout the movie, at least give us a few more fight scenes. It's just it felt like the whole movie, the whole first part of the movie was just dialogue, and a lot of it was not needed. And I felt like they probably could have summed up the last movie and this movie together, because probably about 2 hours of the 2 hours and 50 minutes of this movie I felt like was not needed. So if they would have just trimmed the other one down a little bit and added some of this into that one, they could have made a solid, good movie. And instead of two, well, Dead Reckoning was decent. This one was not very good. So, yeah. But yeah, that's mainly my thoughts on it. If I had to give it a score, from 1 to 10, um, I'd probably give it maybe a 5, 5.5, somewhere around there. It was just, that first half was just so boring. And the second half, it picked up some, but I felt like even like the final stunt with the planes was like a low level stunt. Is the coolest one of the movie, but I felt like it wasn't up to par, I guess, with what I imagined it to be, or what it should be for a Mission Impossible movies that are like basically built around the stunts. Like even in the last movie, The Dead Reckoning, we had the cool motorcycle jump, and then the part where they're in the train sequence was cool. But it's just, it was lacking in stunts, and the quality of the stunts weren't very good, and the story overall just wasn't good. Um, and even like in this movie, they had like the main things that most Mission Impossible movies have are sort of the mask deal where they're disguised as somebody else, and then you have to have the tape. It's your mission if you choose to accept it. All that, and then some kind of like dance or ball or something where they're dressed up in tuxes and stuff. I felt like they did all three of those within like the first like 5 minutes of the movie and just blew past it really fast. And then, like, oh, well, this is a checklist we have to do real quick instead of like intertwining it into the movie. And even the very beginning where it's like the tape or whatever goes on and on and on, like recapping, "You're a good man, Ethan Hunt," and all this, and talking about all the other movies, and it's like, all right, let's get past this. And even after that, it's like half, probably a good half the movie is just recapping stuff from previous movies or Dead Reckoning, the first half of this. And it's like, it slows the movie down so much. And yeah, but the second half I enjoyed for the most part. If I was to rate just the second half, it'd probably be closer to like a 6.5. But ranking it all together, it's about a 5 or a 5.5. Um, so yeah, if you guys have seen the movie, let me know what you guys think of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Um, I really didn't care for it that much, but let me know what you guys think. And I'll be doing a live stream here shortly for the Lilo and Stitch movie. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great